ברור או לא? הוא לא חושב ככה. אז אני שוב חוזר. יש לנו מלכות דאוס.
I'm going to repeat. We have Malchut of Ein Sof. It has 5 desires. With the screen, I divide it and say, I can take 20% of each desire, and 80%, I can't receive it in every desire. 20% of all desires, I call that toch, and the 80% of all desires, I call it sof, the ending. I just drew it side by side, and here it's above and below. So the part of the coarseness of the root, I have it also in the toch, right here, and the same part of the coarseness of the root that I can't receive is in the sof. Clear? So the screen that receives the light inside, first it stands at the peh and says, I'm not going to receive anything. Then when it decides to receive, it starts descending from the peh a bit more and a bit more and a bit more until it stands at the tabul. The screen that was at the peh and didn't let it in, it's like a pump now. It goes down and down and down. It lets the light go inside. So now that we have the bitush, the striking of the 2 lights, it's called the beating of the inner light and the external light. This screen starts refining and says, I don't want to receive anything. So it just pushes the light outward from phase 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, and then from the root. Just like this, pushes them out. The entrance of the lights into the Partzuf is called the expansion. The departing of the lights from the Partzuf is called the departing of the lights. Expanding and departing. Get used to it. I make those mistakes with the letters sometimes. So the screen descended from peh to tabu, Rav. Yes. First it descended. By this the light is expanding. And then by the coupling, by striking, it decides that it's completely going to depart. So it pushes the light out by ascending back from tabu to peh. This action is called the departure of the lights. Departure from reception or from the lights from the screen. It's not that the screen is penetrated, it can't penetrate. Rav, no, there is no half. Soon we'll learn that there is some kind of state, a bit more of an addition for the screens. It's a completely different Partzuf. It'll never be something in the middle.
If the light fills phase 4 in the Rosh, then they're mixed together. The light fills all 4 phases. The Masach descends to the level of Tabu, the screen descends to the level of Tabu.
We Jews state that the screen gets part of the light and part it doesn't. If it would get all the light, it would have descended all the way down. So it stops at a certain point. Now let's draw it in a different way, the same process.
מה שאני ממליץ שאתם בבית,
What I recommend is that when you at home, you start drawing it too. Get used to drawing it. Without it, it's impossible.
זה קורה, אז
That was all part of the development.
Like we said, from the Creator came the light, created phase 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Then in phase 4, she did a restriction. This one was filled, this one restricted, then was the screen. And now we're drawing this phase 4, just like here. Again, I'm coming back to that same partzuf. It has a rosh, a peh, tabul, and siyum. The light enters inside. It's called inner light. Fills the partzuf. This is the screen.
עכשיו אנחנו בואו נכתוב שמות.
Now let's write the names.
במקום שורש א' ב' ג' ד' אין יותר.
Instead of root 1, 2, 3, 4, we're not going to use that anymore. They're names. Keter, Chochma, Bina, Zeranpin, and Malchut.
זה בראש. כן? אותו דבר.
This is in the Rosh. Same thing here. Keter, Chochma, Bina, Zeranpin, and Malchut in the Toch. Same thing. Keter, Chochma, Bina, Zeranpin, and Malchut at the Sof.
אז מה דיברנו?
Then, what did we talk about?
אחרי צמצום מקבלת קצת אור בפנים.
Malchut, after the restriction, she gets some light inside. She decides as much as she receives, so it's, let's say, 20%. So there's a light that comes. Malchut decides and receives those 20% of the light. This sort of reception is called Galgalta. What happens next? There was this beating of the two lights on the screen called Bitush Pnimu Makif, the inner light and the surrounding light. And the screen decided I can't receive the light anymore. And then it starts refining. It returns to its place. The expansion from Peh to Tabul is called an expansion, and the returning of the screen from Tabul to Peh is called refining or departure. Why? Because it becomes more refined. It doesn't want to receive anymore. And returns to the state it was. Then we have the same partzuf as it was. Only the tabul isn't there anymore. Simple, empty. This is the rosh, and this is the guf. Just as it was here, after the first restriction. Same thing. This is the first state. Before the coupling by striking in the rosh, this is the second state. While the coupling by striking the fulfillment, this is the third state. While it emptied. 3 states. First, Malchut of Ein Sof, after the first restriction, then it filled itself by 20% and emptied itself. And this filling of Malchut of Ein Sof in those 20% that she did. This is called Galgalta. Meaning, Malchut of Ein Sof is already filled with that 20%. And when it filled itself with these 20%, it didn't disappear. She can let go of this action, but the state remains in reality. She already received those 20% in order to bestow. She already did this action towards the Creator. She already resembles the Creator in part of the Peh till the Tabul. In this part, she resembles the Creator. She receives in order to give to Him, and He gives to her in order to give to Him. By this, they're equal. Meaning here, from the Peh till the Tabul, there's adhesion and a unity between the Creator and the created being. In this part, Malchut is on the degree of the Creator. How can you say that? That part yes, part no, but sort of. After she emptied herself, she says this: before me, there was a big desire, a very big pleasure. So I went all the way. That's called the fourth degree, or Keter. Maybe I'll go on a smaller pleasure. Let's say that'll be phase 3, or the degree of Chokhmah. And then maybe it'll be less of an issue. I can add a bit more in order to bestow. I'll do it. Why does that? What is it like? I have 5 meals before me, but I start eating the meat as much as I can in order to bestow. That's the only thing I'm doing. This is called that I'm choosing this bestow, called Galgalta. I'm done, that's it. Now I see, well, I can't, but I have an ability to take a bit more than that. Fish. So I'll try and bestow a bit with the fish to the landlord. According to that same depiction, we did. We talked about that example. So he takes the fish. How? If he was divided in those 5 parts, in the Rosh, and the Toch, and in the Sof, so now he takes a less of a portion than before, meaning he has to lower his screen and not work with all the 5 parts, but only with 4. So his screen from the previous state descends from a lower degree, from Keter to Chokhmah. And on this degree, from here to here, all in all, he has a Rosh, and he makes a calculation here, how much he can receive, and then he receives in order to bestow, till the tabu of the next Parzuf. This is called the Guf. This Parzuf that was born after Galgalta is called Ab. Ein Bet. Afterwards we'll learn why. It also received, let's say, 15%, as opposed to Galgalta.
The process is not clear.
Well, I can't stop now. If I stop now, it won't be 10 lessons, it'll be thousands. I kind of explains what happened.
No, the last process.
The last process is that Ab receives less than Galgalta, so it supposedly descends to a lower degree. If this is the Peh, so the Peh of Ab is lower. I'll later draw it nicely. He also receives in order to bestow, and also there's a Bitush Primu Makif, striking of the inner and external lights, and also it decides that it refines, just like in Gilgalta. Then it decides if Keter, meaning I couldn't work with the meat and I can't eat the fish in order to bestow, maybe I'll try some salad. Then the screen descends again in a lower degree than before and performs a coupling by striking, checks how much you can receive from that salad in an even lesser degree in order to bestow. Let's say 10% in order to bestow. Received. And again, there's a striking of the inner and external lights on the screen, and the screen refines again.
Each one of those is a Parzuf?
Yeah, the first one is Gilgalta, then Ab, and the third Parzuf is called Sag. And he also refines from the same reason. So again, he thinks, maybe now I'll go on an even lesser degree. What's less than salad? Coffee.
Oh, coffee.
So he calculates how much he can drink, what coffee, in order to bestow to the host. This will be the Rosh, this will be the Guf, and receives in order to bestow, let's say, 5%. Compared to the previous pleasures. Again, Bitush Pnimu Makif, and refines, and also thinks, well, after this, all I'm left with, except for the coffee, let's say water. A cup of water, I'll drink it with the host. Same process. Let's say here there's 2% of pleasure, and here it ends. Why? Because the screen has reached the tabu of the first Parzuf. This portion is called Ma, and this one is called Bun. All in all, 4, 3, 2, 1 root. The screen that was in Malchut of Ein Sof, the greatest one on phase 4, now refined and refined and refined until 0. This action that now we have went through is called the refining of the screen. All in all, the refining of the screen that received all its intensity, all its forces from Malchut being filled, Malchut of Ein Sof, in the light, and it felt the Creator filling it, and then wanted to do the same action. That gives him the intensity of the screen to do as much as he can also in return towards the host. Everything we talked about. Now this whole process, use the screen, the same force from before, until it reached 0.
From 0 to tabu, basically.
Yeah. With no forces to bestow with. Now, all he can do is just stand still, stop himself, and not do anything. He still has no forces to draw anything from the host in order to bestow. Not water, not coffee, not anything. I can just stand there before you and remain in that way. I'm sorry, but I don't have any forces to resemble you. Meaning to receive anything.
At that point, he meets the 20% that are full.
All these things remain.
According to the diagram, it seems like the screen now stands on the tabu again.
The screen finished all the work. He got 15, 10, 5, 2%. It's considered we received. But there's still a lot more to receive.
חמישה פרצופים האלו שיוצאים
These 5 partsufim that come out after the first restriction of Malchut of Ein Sof, those 5 portions that Malchut of Ein Sof after the restriction receives in order to bestow, these 5 partsufim are called the world of Adam Kadmon.
אין שום קשר עם אדם.
That's its name. It has nothing to do with Adam. That's just its name.
זה העולם הראשון.
The world of Adam Kadmon. It's the first world that came out from Malchut of Ein Sof.
וחמישה פרצופים האלו
And these 5 partsufim are the names.
אנחנו יכולים לקרוא
How, again, we can call it root 1, 2, 3, 4, or Keter Chochmah, Bina, Zeranpin, and Malchut.
יש לנו פרצופים. גלגלת,
Or against that, we have the partsufim Galgalta,
גלגלת,
Ab, Sag,
מה,
Ma, and Bon.
זהו. אותו דבר.
It's the same thing.
אין שום הבדל ביניהם, ובאמת
There's
מחליפים
no difference between them,
את השמות האלו.
and you can easily, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, replace these names for these. Instead of Chokhmah, I can say phase 1.
זה אנחנו יכולים לדבר
Now,
על אביב
so
וברצון.
here we can speak about coarseness, meaning the desire.
תכף נדבר. עכשיו אני
We'll talk about it soon.
אצייר את זה בצורה יותר יפה.
Now I'll draw it in a nicer way.
את כל הדיור הזה.
Are you
אתם קצת מנסים?
trying to
כבר התייאשתי.
to draw it?
בסדר,
No, you gave up already. Okay,
תכף ביחד נעשה את זה.
I'll do it in a minute.
בוא נעשה את זה יחד נקי וגדול.
Let's do it together from the big wall.
עשרות פעמים אתם צריכים לצייר את זה,
You need to draw it dozens of times until you start seeing the relation between things. Get used to drawing.
הפרצוף הראשון
So,
שנקרא גלגלת,
the first patsuf called Galgalta,
מההתחלה עד הסוף, ארוך
from
מאוד,
beginning to end, very long. This is its rosh,
שזה
peh, mouth. That's the masach, the screen.
טעבור,
Tabu, the navel.
סיום,
Sium, end.
תוך,
Or
סוף,
toch, interior, and sof, also end.
שנמצא כאן,
The light that is here.
פנימי,
That light is called Opnimi, inner light. The light that comes from the outside on the screen is called Makif, surrounding light.
זהו,
That's it.
מזדחך,
It becomes refined up to the peh.
ויורד למטה.
And comes down.
דרגה אחת. הדרגה
One
הזאת,
degree.
מפה,
That degree below the peh, less than peh, is called chazeh, chest.
וכאן, במקום הזה,
And here,
נעשה
in this place,
פרצוף אחר,
it becomes the peh of a different patsuf, a new one.
הראש שלו
Its rosh
מחזה דגלגלתא.
is from the chazeh of Galgalta up to the peh of Galgalta. That's the rosh.
ותוך וסוף שלו יחד,
and its toch and sof together are up to the tabu of Galgalta. We can extend the tabu of Galgalta all the way. Thus far, up to that point is its guf, and that parzuf is called ab.
וגם אצלו
And in it too, we have the clash of inner and surrounding, and it becomes refined. By the way, it also divides into 5 parts, and in it too, there's a descent.
ופה של פרצוף הבא,
And the pay of the next parzuf is in the chazeh of parzuf ab.
כאן יש לנו
And here too, we have the rosh of the parzuf from
מחזה לאב,
the chazeh of ab to the pay of ab, just as it was with respect to Galgalta. In this parzuf too, we have. I'll draw the coupling by striking here. This parzuf will be called sag, and it also expands down to the tabu, not below. Afterwards, we'll learn why. It's kuf, and it also becomes refined.
וגם יורד,
It also, the screen descends.
ואז יורד המסך,
Then the screen descends to its chazeh,
פרצוף הבא,
and this is the pay of the next parzuf, and here is its rosh,
זה ראש,
right? This is the rosh, and this is the guf.
ופרצוף הזה נקרא מה,
This parzuf is called ma.
וגם הוא מזדחך,
It too becomes refined,
חזרה,
and here it comes down all the way to the tabu. It's got only a rosh,
אז זה נקרא בון.
and this is called bon. Doesn't have a guf.
בון,
Bon equals no guf, no body.
וכל אחד מהם אפשר לקרוא קטע, חוכמה, בינה, זה
Each of them we can call ket chokhmah,
את האפסק, מה
or ket chokhmah bina zohan bin machut, or galgalta ab sag ma bon.
הפרצופים האלו,
And how much do these parzufim fill malchut of Ein Sof?
זאת מערכות אינסוף. כן, גוף דגלגל וזה מערכות.
This is malchut of Ein Sof. The guf of galgalta is malchut of Ein Sof.
אז הם
right?
מעלים אותה, אנחנו
So they fill it.
בדיוק למה,
We will learn later exactly why and how.
רק מההתחלה,
They fill it only from the beginning up to the tabu.
כל החלק הזה של
In all those vessels, this whole part of malchut of Ein Sof remains empty.
זאת אומרת, מטרת הבריאה לא הגיעה.
In other words, the purpose of creation
המלכות אינסוף לא
has not been reached. Malchut of Ein Sof cannot fill itself completely. Only this.
The light also comes out from this.
היא
The exit of the light is
Like in the process, is there an entrance and exit in every one?
we will learn it in a minute. You're asking correctly. Just raise your hand. He's smart. He's clever. He doesn't look like that, but he is clever.
מה הוא רוצה לשאול?
What else does he want to ask?
יש לנו תהליכים בכל פרצוף.
We have processes in each parzuf.
ניקח כל פרצוף, לא חשוב איזה.
Let's take any parzuf. It doesn't matter which.
יש לו ראש,
It's got a rosh,
תוך,
it's got a toch, and it's got a sof.
כן?
Right?
אז זה לא טוב שהיא למטה, כן? לא רואים.
It's not good that it's down here. You don't see it?
אני אעשה את זה.
Okay, so I will do it here.
כניסת האורות מהפה
The entry of the lights from the peh down to the top. What is this light called? Inner light. This inner light that enters, in itself, it is inner light. It is light, but the taste, the flavor it gives to the vessel, the pleasure it gives to the vessels is called ta'amim, tastes, or flavors, tastes. The light that leaves the vessel and says, I don't want to be inside because I don't have a sufficient screen, so I can stay this way, meaning a light that feels the weakness of the vessel. These lights that exit the vessels are called nekudot, dots. Nekudot, dots. Why are they called nekudot? Because Malchut is called nekuda, dot, black dot, Malchut of Ein Sof. Black dot, that's what she's called. And here they feel its limitation, how limited it is, how much she cannot, that she cannot receive anymore because of her darkness. So that blackness that is in it, the inability to keep receiving within her is called a black dot in the light, and then the departure of the lights because of the weakness of that black dot is called, because of it, nekudot, dots. The expansion of the light in the Patzuf is called ta'amim. The departure of the light from the Patzuf is called nekudot. Ta'amim, nekudot. We said that each state remains as it was. In other words, instead of this Galgalta, the empty Galgalta, then Galgalta receives, then Galgalta becomes empty. Right? When it is emptied of the lights, we can talk about any parts we want, any state we want. It's as if we stop the film and say, we're talking about this, about that. All those things exist simultaneously, but it's as if we can get in at each phase and look at it. So Galgalta that is filled now inside, that stage is called ta'amim. Ta'amim. Galgalta that is emptied is called, I don't know how to draw it, that is emptied, say that the lights exit from it. Exit, right? So it is called nekudot. And this is the first restriction. Afterwards, we have another Patzuf, where she is completely empty, just as before the entry, like in the first restriction. But the difference is that she doesn't have lights. But what is the difference between, let's say this is state 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So in first state, it was before the reception of the light. In the second, she receives light. In the second, she receives lights. In the third, she becomes emptied. And in 4, she remains empty. What's the difference between 4 and 1? That here you still have records that remained, that there was light in it that came and filled it, and there was also light that departed from it. These two lights of expansion and departure left records, a memory of it. So the record from the expansion of the light in it is called Tagin, and the record from the departure of the lights is called Otiyot, letters. Tagin is tags, Otiyot is letters, or vessels, Kilim. And likewise in each and every Parzuf. Let's say Sag in the middle. These lights that expand in it are called Ta'amim. When the lights depart from it, they're called Nekudot. The records that remain after everything is emptied, the records in it are called Tagin, tags, the Reshimot from the Ta'amim, and the records from the Nekudot are called Otiyot. In other words, we have lights that expand Ta'amim and depart Nekudot. The records, Reshimot, records from Ta'amim are called Tagin. The records from Nekudot are called Otiyot. So, when we have a letter like Aleph, Bet, or any letter, according to the laws, you have a tag. Below it you have some sign, mark, together with all kinds of punctuation marks. These are all the signs. These are signs of spiritual objects over its entire state, who it is in itself, what is its nature, what light filled it, meaning you can say what screen it had, what desire it had, to what extent it filled itself with screens, with lights, at what spiritual level it is, and how it is emptied and what remains of it. Ta'amim, Nekudot, Tagin, Otiyot give us all the information about the spiritual object, the spiritual state. So a letter with all that is in it, the dots above and below, you have on top you have Cholam, inside you have Shuruk, and Chirik below, or you have all kinds of like crowns, which are called tags, Tagin, Ta'amim, flavors, tastes, which we don't know. It's very concealed. In the book of Torah, we don't quite know how to read them. We will learn about it. And the letters themselves. From here, we will go on and see how these letters, these otiyot, combine into words. What makes a word, this will come. In the meantime, we need to understand where this term, ot, letter, comes from. A letter is a sign of the state of the spiritual parzuf, what the spiritual object, what state it is in. From this we can understand what a name means. Yes? Meaning what degree of a soul. When a soul takes up a certain spiritual degree, so according to the spiritual degree, how much screens it has, how much inner and surrounding lights it has, what state it is in with them, this whole state builds our name. This is why they were called Moshe, Avraham, Yaakov, etc. This is why Yaakov changed the name. You change your name, you change your fortune, you change your place, etc. We'll talk about that too. This is basically what I wanted to say.